Yes, that's true. Hey, we are alive. Are you alive yet? Malinsky's not alive. She's in a dressing gown and she's having a cup of coffee for the morning. And I am actually alive, which is unusual for me at this time of the morning. It's because I know that I passed the test. Have you passed the morning test, Malinsky? This is Down Under. And yes, we are down under. And it was Mother's Day yesterday. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers who had a lovely day. We saw you all out there passing the test of motherhood on Facebook. It was very exciting. No, I'm serious. So many people reported that they had a fabulously loving and beautiful Mother's Day. And I just wonder how they went the next day when they had to go back into the real world where they weren't a special mother and they weren't winning at the mother's game again. Oh my God. You might think this girl has gone crazy. All she's doing is talking about tests and winning. But that's because I've had a revelation. La! The angels are singing. Oh no, that's not the angels. That's just some celebrity singing in the background. I've also had a revelation that I'm in love with will.i.am.
Yep.
If anyone out there knows him, I put it on my bucket list. In fact, I've started a bucket list just to put that on it. Meet famous people that I love. The other one is a puppeteer called Ronnie Burkett. Highly recommend going to see his shows as well.
Where is he? He's in New York, he said, the next time.
Yeah, no, I think he's in Los Angeles at the end of the year, but somehow I couldn't find the fancy dates. But it did renew my enthusiasm for puppeteering. All right, let me tell you a story. It starts like this. And then it goes like this. And then it goes. Then it goes. Like this. Then it goes. Like that. And then it kind of goes. Like that. And then it goes.
I hope this story's going somewhere.
And then it keeps going for a bit longer. Oh, it's funny because I made a cover for our next show that says face pulling is our speciality. And now look at me go. I'm trying to impress Mel with my face pulling because I know she loves face pulling.
Well, I can't. I've got to look at the camera. I can't look at you. So I can't see your face pulling anyway. So that's quite doing it for me. You do it for them.
I'm doing this for Mel because I have to cheer her up because I've been being mean and miserable all week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the story. So the story goes a bit like that. A lot of sad faces. Anyway, and then yesterday we had a breakthrough. We're processing. You've seen us processing. We're very good at it. We just go, right to the heart of things. Oh, like yesterday, the revelation came out.
Tell us what happened yesterday.
That it's all about passing the test. So we've been pulling apart some things about competition and this competition reality that a lot of us seem to live in for whatever reason. It's part of the culture, but it's also just some little personal system we've all adapted. And, yeah, winning the test, just the revelation that so much disability, so much difficulty, so much distress, so many D words come from just feeling like you're constantly under scrutiny to win some invisible test. And for some reason, the Mother's Day energy really, even though it was completely invisible for me, kicked it in hard because I think for women on the planet, you know, we've gone from just being a superhero to being a ascended master, and we have a particular viewpoint on what that looks like in terms of all the things that we have to pull off in a day. You know, I have amazing friends who just excel in all areas, whether you're talking, you know, parenting, work, being innovative entrepreneurs, creating the most awesome spaces in their communities, having, you know, running events, being spiritual minded, being community minded, being just all round awesome, but they still don't have a space to feel satisfied, happy and complete. And I feel like Mother's Day is like this little faker space. It's, you know, it's a faker space. It's great. It's fabulous. And people do manage to have a good time at it, set aside time to go, oh, yeah, that's right, I really do love you. But no sooner has that facade gone down and people are back in the, where's my shoes, where's my socks? Why haven't you got me breakfast yet? I got you breakfast yesterday. You know, like it's back into the grind, and there's 20 things that you stopped doing yesterday that are all vying for your attention. But apart from all that, you know, all the things you could pick apart in that sense that we are on this competitive treadmill that does not allow us to stop feeling like we are being tested. I just felt like yesterday, gosh, that was, you know, like that's a real underpinning of heaps of our distress and heaps of our conflict between each other as well. You know, when we're not living up to what we think others' expectations are, or when we think others have got expectations of us that they haven't got, or, yeah, it just feels like that is a kind of a key mindset that's operating around this test thing. What do you reckon, Skinsky?
I reckon my eyes are watering. Yes.
What do you think that means? That your eyes are watering?
Probably that I need to go back to bed. No, I just, and I think about the Mother's Day thing. There was something else I was going to say about that. Even within the receiving on the Mother's Day, there's this sense that, remember how you were saying, in order to pass the Mother's Day test. Yeah, so, but even before we get to that, there's a sense that you still have to betray something. I don't know, like that you have to pretend.
Graciously.
Yes. You have to pretend that you really wanted those macaroni necklaces. Like you really wanted burnt toast and uncooked eggs for breakfast. That you really wanted to be taken to the skate park.
That you really wanted to clean up the mess in the kitchen.
Like that, you still don't get a true gift.
I was actually working on Sunday, and it's a there's another family there that I often work with, and the mother was sick, and I was just like, oh, lucky her.
Yeah.
She gets to stay home for Mother's Day, and she's got all of you out of the house. She's got the whole morning to herself, and I just thought, oh my God, that was well. I mean, it wasn't orchestrated. She was obviously very sick. She couldn't get out of bed when they were left for work.
That's what we do.
I was like, oh.
But that's what we do. Like for those of us that don't feel like we can have downtime, we get sick. That's our answer. Because we don't use our words, we use our physiology, and we say, that's it, I'm contagious, full off. Leave me alone, I can't do anything, do it for yourself.
And I guess, you know, there's been some times this week where I have not wanted to get out of bed. Bed has been so comforting, but that's been because I've just felt distress at the, you know, because it's not that you don't love your family. It's not that you don't want to be in their space. It's not that you don't want to have good experiences with them. Yeah. You totally want to be able to enjoy them where they are. You don't want them to change and be able to cook you a gourmet breakfast in bed. But, you know, there's something that needs to be done differently. Or
you need to fill your cup. I mean, I think that's the other stuff that we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
If that's not happening, then you can't keep meeting all the demands.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, somewhere it's like this train of roles that we play, it's very difficult in there to figure out what we actually do to feel like, what do we want to do? I mean, even I go, what do I need to feel sustained? Because I'm so used to just doing what I'm meant to be doing. What do I need outside of all of those things? I mean, I guess that's why I watched that fabulous foreign movie the other day. They're the things that I need.
What was the movie? Don't hold out on them.
It was.
Don't hold out on them. Fabulous Foreign Movies by Lindsay Brockwell.
Oh, there is some great stuff in the world. Chaos is one of my favourites.
Which is also made by my favourite, isn't it?
She's in it. I don't think she made it.
I thought it was the other film that she made, directed. Anyway, the film I love is La Belle Verde, and the woman who stars in that, whose name I don't actually know, is also in Chaos, which is another movie.
Which, yeah, is a bit disturbing, but it gives you a sense of a real situation. You know, life is not all comedy or all tragedy. There is a sense that you have all of that in one lifetime, and the story that is told. He does have a mother in there who just turns around and says, your petty complaints and demands. I mean, she set it up the way that we all do. We set it up so that people rely on us, so that we feel loved and go into the cycle, blah, blah, blah. She set it up that way, but at some point she meets someone and realizes that their petty demands are insignificant to the needs of this other person who actually needs someone to intervene. And it's very funny, and it's horrific, and it's tragic, but it's fabulous. And it, it's one of those movies that grounds you, puts you back in a space where you realise that passing the test, whether it's making breakfast or getting there on time or whatever the test is, that we keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Like the test is make sure that you get the job, but it's not just make sure that you get the job. You've got to make sure that you get the job and that all the people look at you in a particular way. And then it's not just make sure you get the job and that people look at you in a particular way, it's make sure that you get all the emails done by a particular time. And it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until every move that you make is passing a test. And there's a sense that these movies, like the book that I keep talking to Louise about, The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, there's this sense that I watch these movies and read these books to expand that tightness and get back to a sense where it's not about passing all those very small tests. It is about seeing that the whole thing is an amazing adventure and that those tests are arbitrary. That's not all that significant, really. You know, it's like when you lose someone important, the whole world expands, and the tightness of all those tests they fall away. All of the rope that's holding you in restraint. For a limited period of time, for some people that's 2 weeks, for some people it's 10 years. But it's a limited sense of freedom. But tapping into that all the time, that's when you don't need the tests anymore. But there was another part of what you were saying about the Mother's Day test, that it's not about your direct action passing the test, that it is about everything, the wake of your behaviour, which is your children's success, your husband's demonstration of love, I don't know what the tests are, your husband's financial prowess, whatever your garden looks like. Does that have anything to do with your worth as a mother? I mean, somewhere in there, all of those things get tied into passing that test.
And we're talking mothers here, but it seems like we're all under our own personal scrutiny. And it doesn't matter even in the simplest things, like, will you watch a movie with me? If someone says, no, I don't want to watch a movie with you, it feels like we are still in some kind of oh yes, but I know I'm watching the right movies, it's all good, please watch this movie with me and prove that I'm on the right track, that I'm doing the right thing, that I've passed the test of knowing which movies are the best movies to watch. It just feels like even in the smallest decision, you know, whether you eat gluten-free bread or not gluten-free bread, whether you know, are a vegan or a vegetarian or a meat eater, it just feels like in every single thing we're standing a ground for winning the competition, and it feels like we're in judgment on ourselves. Like it's so self-perpetuated that it's crazy. Like and it appears like everyone else outside is judging us and looking at us and holding us up against you know, up against the test, whatever the test model is. And, you know, you can start going into, oh, yes, well, that's from, you know, when we went to school, they put us through the ringer, you know, they made us jump through hoops and do a lot of tests, and we became competitive, and then we did sport, and our culture's really addicted to sport and playing games. But there's a real sense that you can play competitive games and not be competitive. Or you can play competitive games and be totally competitive. Yeah. It's like...
Sociologically, it's a bit broader than just saying people put you in teams and you've learnt to compete. I mean, even when you watch those, I watch those videos, they make me so happy. Those, I don't know what they're called, but they're videos of international sports situations, whether they're soccer players or runners or whatever, and something happens and they come out of their competitiveness to be compassionate to another person on the team or someone in the crowd, or, you know,
to help someone
a competitor.
Finish line. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is, for me, a greater aspiration. If you have to have one, that is a greater aspiration than being a winner.
Well, that's funny. I forgot probably a week ago when I was surfing the internet, prior to this dropping right into the competition spirit to explore it, I watched the soccer, no, it's not soccer, sorry, that was sacrilege, the rugby, the Maori, the All Blacks doing their huckers at the beginning of the rugby games, and it's fabulous to watch how the different teams respond to that, because, you know, obviously there's a huge sense of competition there. A lot is, you know, at stake in them winning those games. And it's so funny where they come together at the beginning and they play out that.
It's a war.
Yeah, they play out that intensified, you know, I'm not sure what it is, but, you know, they're setting up an energetic of we're scarier than you. Regardless of our skills or whatever, you know, I don't watch the game, so I don't know what their skill level is, but it was, I don't know why I was watching it, but it was really interesting to watch the different countries, the way they would respond to that war cry, to that, you know, like it is that don't step over the line, because you know what we're like. And I mean, that's another thing that we probably, you know, unknowingly are playing out in everyday life with everyone around that competitive spirit, is that sense of, you know, even as the mother, you know, who's being docile and being, you know, under the radar and bending over backwards for everyone, there's also the, I want to say pit bull again, who's like, if you dare, I will, you know, one more thing and you know what I'm like. And there's the very, it's not competitive, it is competitive. It's like, you stay on your team and I'll stay on mine, everything will be all right. Kind of holding us apart from each other, like holding us apart from the intimacy, the real intimacy somewhere. Oh, we want responses. We want people to jump in and say, because I feel like for some mothers that will really aggrieve them, because they are playing the martyr, you know, like, I just think of my mum, you know, like she's bent over backwards her entire 83 years of life or whatever it's been, and put everyone else first and done the best for everyone, you know, like, and most people will go, oh, but there's not a vicious bone in her body.
But there is. Like, I mean, I don't know, I think about my grandma. There's no, you don't, there's no cheek, there's no, you don't cross the line of respect. that woman dedicated her life to everybody around her, but there are standards. If you don't, and she's left-handed, so it comes at you not from this side, but from this side. So like there's this sense of you don't even know where it's coming from. I mean, you don't mess with people like that. But they're just loving and accepting, but really, her entire existence was dedicated to everybody else's life. But she didn't pretend to be anything else. It was very clear that these are the boundaries of the relationship.
So I'm just kind of feeling like Mother's Day is over, and for a lot of people, you know, like it is the one day of the year where they get to go, oh, they really do love me. Oh, thank goodness, everyone around me is making an effort for me, and we don't want to take away from that, because sometimes that is a lifeline for people in a very pressurised and hectic world. And I'm also kind of aware that there's people out there who feel like they didn't pass the test yesterday. They did yell at the kids when they made the mess in the kitchen trying to make breakfast and didn't even get breakfast to them, and then you had to make breakfast yourself, or you know, it didn't even get that far. You didn't get to see your kids or whatever it was, or you don't have kids, and that's distressing in itself for you in the passing the test of this culture being the perfect woman scenario. And I saw amazing statistics, which, you know, every time I see them, they surprise me for some reason, because I think our culture is saturated with imagery around, you know, being the ideal, and the ideal is a mother. There's not very many ideal things held up that don't have the mother role in them, but that thing again of, you know, I can't remember what it was now, but it was, you know, it was like 30% of women in the childbearing ages in America don't have children. So, like, it's a massive chunk of women who don't fall into that role model. And so that in itself is another whole thing where, you know, we were talking about normal last night again, and part of that competition thing feels like we do have a very strong ideal in ourselves of what normal is, and what, you know, the game we're trying to win, the thing we're trying to live up to, and whether we've created that from a whole lot of outside illusions or, you know, perspectives, viewpoints, whatever, or we've created our own little fantasy world of what that looks like. You know, it's still where we've got this picture of what normal is, and we're trying to live up to it. Not even normal, above average normal.
Yeah, you mean consumer culture?
Oh, no, I just mean, I don't even mean consumer. I mean, it's not so. Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, because, you know, I don't want to blame. I don't feel like there's anything to blame, because I feel like it is a huge delusion. It's our own personal, private delusion.
I'm talking blame. I'm talking about what parameters of normal are you talking about?
Oh, I'm just talking about normal for you, like what you think is normal and what I think are normal are two very different things. What we think is the norm, you know, the average thing for what we think is the average of what most people around us are experiencing, and what we think is a winning the game in that scenario would dive into very different areas. So then we're coming together and competing, like even that sense of, you know, if you're in a couple and you come together, you live in two extraordinarily different realities about what normal is, or what, you know, what the benchmark is that you're going for, and then you come together with this underlying competition, and you want each other to play each other's game, and you know, like, it just feels like the delusion. I don't know, it's multi-layered in the I guess where our distress comes from around it, where, you know, just that sense of passing the test I think the shocking thing for me over this week has been how embedded it is in every action I do. Even when I'm just going to relax down the beach, or I'm just going out in the garden to chill out and pull some weeds, it's still inherent in winning the game, passing the test, being my best self, rising above everything, and the pressure on me to relax is massive. And it feels like it's into that area of winning the game. You know, if I could just relax properly, then I'd manifest the things I want. If I could just be there in a particular way, you know, and leave all that, what other energy behind, or move into some new energy, or but it still feels like it's passing some new age test to be able to manifest some other reality, and it's into that area of end game. It's into that area of going, we're all going for some end game, which is, you know, standing on the winner's podium going, oh, I'm on heaven on earth, or I'm, you know, the CEO of the company making the most money, or I'm the, whatever our normal, well, exceptional normal is. You know, if we think that being spiritual is what most, you know, should be being gone for, like that would be winning the game. If we could bust all the environmental stuff, bust all the violent stuff, be highly spiritual, be, you know, living masters on this planet, it feels like then we see that as an end game. It's something that once we got to it, it would be static and stopped. You know, to be the best mother feels like we would get to a point where all the washing would be put away, all the ironing would be done, the kids would be perfect all the time, and there's no variation in that. Once you get to the good mother, or you get to the good spiritual person, or you get to the good CEO, you know, your business will just run itself and everything will be fine. The money will keep coming in. That was another thing during the week, you know. I wish that I had income that was, can't remember what I said.
Certain.
So, you know, like you knew each week you were going to have a wage, or you were going to have a amount of money coming in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, when I get to that point where I don't have to think about it anymore, I don't have to put any energy into it anymore, then I'll be all right. Then I'll have won the game. Then I'll have passed the test.
But it never happens.
So I think it's a time for a discourse on energy.
Discourse.
Give us an energy discourse.
Well, just that never happens. That you never reach a static point. Even as the CEO, you still have to manage things. You still have to, because you have taken responsibility for a certain slab of that process. There are things that only you can do, and you have to make those decisions, and those decisions will be weighed upon all of the relationships that you have set up. And within all of those relationships, you have to navigate all of their relationships. And there is a sense that the web that you create around you is constantly moving. You constantly have to negotiate.
Even for will.i.am, even for Johnny Depp.
Even for those, especially for those people.
Oh my God, I thought they were ascended masters. Well, I think that's the other thing, you know, we project out. We look outside of ourselves, and, you know, as you've been saying, we find people who are most like us, or, you know, have qualities that are like our qualities, or a mission that's like our mission. And we find the person who is succeeding in that area at the highest level and go, why aren't I like them? Well, you know, what's wrong with me? Look at them. And we hold their life up as being somehow perfect and somehow not having the same discrepancies, difficulties, challenges, everyday things as us. You know, we just see them when they're on The Voice, or we just see them when they finish making their new movie and they're on the red carpet, and we go, oh, why can't I be more like them? So You know, it doesn't matter what it is, because it could be that they don't take any notice of anyone else, that they're living in their own world and they just do what they have to do and get on with it. You know, that might be for us the pinnacle of success, or it might be that they're totally able to be in response to everyone else and jump around at everyone else's beck and call.
But no matter what, like all of those people push boundaries. So no matter what they've got set up, nothing is certain. So everything has to be managed. So if you've set up a foundation, Will.i.am has a school and a hat factory. I don't know what else he's got. This is Louise's wisdom about Will.i.am, that I'm constantly informed on the latest thing that Will.i.am is doing or connected to. He's got all of these amazing things that he does. So he has to manage those, even if they are trust funds or NGOs that he set up. He still has to manage the relationships, whether it's financial or, you know, making sure that the people who are running it have integrity, making sure that the distribution of services and funds and equipment is fair and it's happening in a way that has integrity, that reflects his intention. Like, there is a lot of stuff that he is responsible for. It comes back to him. So he has to be able to set things up in a way that his energy is maximized. It's the same like you being able to pay your rent, or you being able to care for a sick child, or you being able to navigate a relationship with your parent. It's the same thing. You have this, you are being pushed into areas that are unfamiliar, and you can either set up some kind of magical scenario where you are in that relationship. You're not fighting it, you're not trying to make it something it's not. You know, somewhere you can be in that relationship and you can navigate the energy of that scenario the same way that Will.i.am sets up hat factories. There is no difference between any of those enterprises. The idea of manifesting change in the world, whether it's a better relationship with your partner or deforestation or, you know, fairer education systems, whether you're manifesting something for yourself, a Ferrari or a 3-story house or whatever it is, or manifesting change in the world, it's the same energy. It's the same energy exchange. And it is about navigating those scenarios. So if you see it in that way, and if you can understand that it's not a reward system, the universe is not saying, oh, good job, we're going to give you your Ferrari. It's not really set up that way. I mean, you can, if you buy into that, that's that whole test thing that we're talking about. And when you buy into that, there's a whole loaded experience that you have with every exchange of energy. You have tied your self-worth to that exchange, which...
Oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Well, it's not very helpful. Like,
well, it also it means that every moment of every day you are holding yourself against the things that are manifesting and going, oh, I won.
There's
I
a
lost.
sign.
I won. I lost. I won. I lost. And even when you win, you're going, oh, I got the Lamborghini, the Maserati, the whatever.
Yeah.
But why didn't I get the latest model? What's wrong with me? I didn't get the latest model. Oh, they've just upgraded. I still don't have that model. Oh, you know, it just feels like it's a never-ending. You can't keep winning. You have to keep pedaling to keep winning. You know, it's like a kid who gets the highest score in the exams. There's always someone coming up who's going to get a higher score. So it's like you're always going to be knocked out.
But the thing is, even if you get the higher score, then you become the small fish in the big pond. And so the next pond is wherever the kids who get that score go. And so do they have, okay, they ticked that box, but now they're in another circle. You've left that circle and ticked that box, and you've fulfilled all of those tests. And now you move into this new circle where there are new tests. So you've ticked the box of getting the highest mark, but do you have all these other things as well? Did you do a piano concert by the age of 15, and did you swim across the English Channel, and did you yacht across the world? And if you haven't done those things, then these are the next things that you need to focus on. And have you made sure that you have an engineering degree before you turn 16? Because if you don't, then you're not in this group over here, you're only in this one over here. And the same for when you get the Lamborghini. Okay, yeah, you get the Lamborghini and you're the CEO, but do you have all these other things? Because otherwise you're not in this group over here. And if you're not in this group, that means you're only in this group. And these people in this group can say things about you behind your back. And when you see them, because you socialise in the same places, that's the thing. They will always be in your face. It's not like you get to avoid them. It's just that they do their secret business in their own space, and you're not part of it. And you're constantly thinking, they're talking about me because I haven't ticked that box yet.
Constantly thinking, sad face.
Yeah.
Not that you haven't seen my sad faces for the last few weeks.
We love your sad faces, Woody.
Oh, yeah, there is something satisfying about having a sad face for a while. It gets to be a permanent fix for us. Oh, wait for it. Snuff my nose.
But what if you could be the CEO of the universe? I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. What if you could be the CEO which just dealt with the stuff that was coming in, did some magic with it, and then allowed it to go back into the universe? And everything was exactly, I mean, the same way that you imagine, who is it, Johnny Depp and will.i.am and the CEO, exactly as you imagine them operating in the world and feeling powerful. I mean, why are they the standards? Because they have choice. I'm assuming there's something about them having freedom.
I think for both of them, people look at their breadth of experience in the world and go, yeah, it's definitely about choice. Or, you know, they've got to pursue the things they love to its zenith, they've got to take their passions to their...
And in every situation...
Not choice, it's not even choice. I mean, it is choice a bit because they've chosen the things that they love and they've been able to go into all areas with them. They've been able to stretch themselves as far further than even their own imagination could have perceived. I think that's part of it, that sense of where it feels like not even the sky's the limit for them.
But in a sense, like that, as in that's what we, you know, the illusion that we have set up. But when you look at those two examples, like say will.i.am setting up the schools, tech schools. Is it tech school?
They're STEM schools, so they're science, technology, engineering, and maths. So they're encouraging kids from poor areas to go into areas that will give them, you know, much more possibilities than they would have had otherwise.
And so if will.i.am attaches the worth of that to some social outcome, as opposed to just being able to set up the school and create the opportunity, then he becomes a failure. And Johnny Depp became very good friends with Hunter S. Thompson. And if he went into that relationship thinking that he could create a connection that changed something in Hunter S. Thompson's life, well, Hunter S. Thompson died, so somewhere he failed. So if they've set their accomplishments up with external, other people's outcomes, they're failures, regardless of how we set the illusion up. So if you do the same thing in your life, it doesn't matter how amazing other people think you are, you're a failure. And the only way not to be a failure is not to set up those external outcomes that have nothing to do with why you're doing it. And if why you're doing it is for it to just going to be chasing that, that's never going to end. because attached to every external outcome is going to be another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. You never, and even if it's not another one, that one has to be maintained constantly.
And I feel like that was part of my revelation. You know, like if you are the mother who is looking at your child and going, why don't they just do what I've asked them? I have asked them in every way. We have talked about this before. I have done my best in all areas to ensure that this outcome, every day they get up and put their shoes on and they know where their shoes are. Why? It feels like, you know, you can unravel it in all kinds of ways, but that sense of, I have set this for me as a test, even if you can just recognise, I set this for me as a test. I'm the taskmaster. I'm the person saying this is the level that we have to be at in this house for me to be happy. Without me winning this test, I will not be happy. You can then recognise that it's your own ability to give yourself permission to be, I was going to say powerful, but it's not, you know, just to be okay with whatever outcome is happening in your own space. It's you who's giving yourself permission to be distressed. It's you who can give yourself permission to be okay with whatever the outcome is, because you're the only one holding this particular thing up as your test, like Mel just said. You know, if will.i.am or whoever is going, wow, once I have a hat factory that pumps out the most coolest hats and Usher comes along and buys them and all my cool mates come and buy them, then I'll be right. And none of his mates turn up at the factory to buy the hats. He's going to be devoed. Because he hasn't hit the cool mark where he had it set. No one else gives a whatever. But if that's his benchmark, then another miserable day in the life. Trudging around trying to find the next factory that your cool mates will buy something from.
And the other thing is, like, sorry, but you don't know what the effect of what you do has on the world. And if you're going into something with the greatest heart intention, chances are it will, you know, have a powerful impact on the universe. But you may not see it. It's not a sense that the universe goes, oh, here, by the way, here's your monthly statistic on all of the things that you affected in the universe. There's no, you don't get that back-end SEO.
Facebook ranking.
Yeah, Facebook ranking, how many likes.
29 people saw this post. Today you have 5 more new likes.
It's not like that. I mean,
you have reached an audience of.
And it's the stuff, it's the pass it on stuff that's really magical that you'll never know about. So it's not, if you're doing it for the outcome, then figure out what's playing in that. Why is it so important? Because even, you know, if the kids play out, you're allowed to be frustrated. No one's saying don't be frustrated, but don't take responsibility for it. Don't say because I'm a shit parent. Like, how do you know what's going on? Like, there might be something that they can pick up that's going on around that they need to clear. There might be energy that they need to clear for somebody else, and it's got nothing to do with you. So it's somewhere, it's like you're allowed to go, what the fuck, you know? You're allowed to be frustrated, but there's this sense of, it doesn't have to mean, oh, that must mean I'm a bad parent, or that must mean they're not, you know, somehow my relationship with them is not working. It doesn't have to be about that. It can just be about right now and what's going on for them, and you're allowed to be frustrated and then express the frustration, and then next.
All right, I passed this test. Oh, not quite. I didn't put the sign up properly. I fell down. I was just about to say, I passed this test. I got through a radio show without going into process of being upset about something. Yay! I appeared to be on top of things and on track. And now as soon as the show's over, I'll leave the building and start crying about all my problems again. I was like, don't do it! We've got grade 2s today. We're going to work with grade 2s, which is really exciting. Oh, and one more thing I found this week, which was very exciting, was the slow-mo video. If you want to see someone who's turned their life into something completely different from what it was, there's a fella and he calls himself Slow Mo, Slomo, and there's a little video on the internet about him, and it's very beautiful and interesting, and just, yeah, right, you could hold your life up against a whole lot of other measures, but even then, if you measure yourself up against them,
yeah. And the movie was The Girl Who Played with Fire.
The Girl Who Played.
The Swedish version, whatever it is. Is it Swedish? Swiss. I can't remember.
And I guess, there's something else I think that's been kicking around this week too, and it's like bucket lists or something, like even that sense of, you know, what are we going to achieve in this life? Like, how are we going to make this life have meaning for us? And especially, you know, again, I just put Will I Am up there because he's kicking around for me at the moment. He, for me, is a beautiful role model because I feel like he does, you know, and it is. I choose him because he has a lot of characteristics that I have. You know, he wants to affect change, he wants to be an innovator, he wants to tell stories, he wants, you know, he seems to tick a lot of boxes for me around what I love to do, what makes my heart sing, what kicks for me.
Does he cry?
Yeah, he does actually. I mean, that's it, yeah. Yeah,
I'm just asking.
He's happy to get on the internet when something's occurred that's affected him and say how he feels, and that for me is like ticks another box. Ticks another box.
Yeah.
But I guess what I was thinking more along was, because then even with all the stuff we've been saying about competition, if you take out that impetus to win, if you take out that I'm trying to pass my tests, then what motivation have you got to get out of bed in the morning? You know, it will reconfigure your life. It changes everything because that's been your driving force, your motivation to win at those games. And, you know, like we said before, possibly for that person, they may or may not be trying to win the game in all areas, you know, like, so I guess I'm looking to them to go, well, what is your motivation? And then you find all these things about, well, have a bucket list, set goals, you know, like, but then it's like, to what ends? You know, like, that's been another interesting thing for me this week, is going, what am I going for? Why am I going for it? What do I expect to get from going for it? I guess just putting back into perspective why you get out of bed in the morning, what drives you to put your stuff out there, what drives you to decide, yeah, I'm willing to put myself out there on the radio show, TV show, or I'm willing to put what I love to do out there, or I'm willing to go to school and work with the grade 2s today, or, you know, what then drives you into the areas of your passion. And I guess that's what I'm still exploring this week.
Because you don't, well, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen on the TV show, but I know that even if it's something magical that happens for somebody in, like we were saying, in 3 years' time, when they see the video and they go, oh, wow, that's the kind of video I don't want to make. I want to make sure I do it like this. Like, it doesn't matter how, that's the other thing, it doesn't matter how you inspire the world. Somewhere in there, it's, as long as you're going in to have an adventure, the inspiration will go out there. And so, you know, someone will connect to it and go, oh, that's amazing. That gives me permission to have this experience, which I've been straining myself from. But it might just as likely be someone going, that's exactly what I don't want to do. Now I know what I want. If you clarify that for somebody, that is huge. There are so many people on the planet that have no idea what they want. I was going somewhere else with that, and I got distracted. Oh, the year 2s. I mean, I go in there with a sense that I have no concept of how it works. Louise is the facilitator, but I get so much out of it, and I'm not sure what my energetic does in the room. I'm guessing it does what it always does in every situation, so that must be helpful. But it keeps coming up, this opportunity for me to work with these younger kids when really I feel much more comfortable with adolescents. So, but I go in there because I don't know what's going to happen, and for some reason, reality sets it up that I have an opportunity to walk in there. And I love to share space with them, but I don't understand what the exchange is. But I go in there to have the adventure.
Mm.
So that's enough to get me out of, to get me out of bed and on the road. Because then I just go in there saying, okay, what now? And you listen like your ears get bigger.
And it's funny because I'm interested in what does make people settle for less. Like, I'm interested in why some people are content just to be quite static in their experience of this life. Even when I'm pushed into areas that I feel trapped, tested, I don't know where we're going, I don't know what I'm up against, I feel like I'm up against something. There's a part of me that would rather face that and be in more, it feels like you have to be in a bit more distress, push it a bit further through the limit of what you feel is your
comfort zone.
Yeah, it's definitely your comfort zone. Even more than that, it's kind of like your limit. I mean, that is your comfort zone, but it feels like you're pushing yourself past your limit. Like, will I be able to cope with this? Will I come out the other side whole and intact? Am I going to break apart and disintegrate, explode, whatever? But there's a sense about being up against that. There's a sense about just being willing to go into those unknown places that I revel in. Like, I do quite... I wouldn't have it any other way where I didn't push myself to a limit. I'm not sure. I just feel like, still even into that competition area, we so want to have other people in the area with us, fighting with us. So, whatever area, whether we're in the pushing harder area or whether we're sitting in the sitting still harder area, not moving more, it feels like we want to bring everyone into that area to be in competition with us so we can be the best. Like, it feels like there's a sense of where people, aren't happy until everyone's in the same area as them. Wanting everyone to be on the same page.
Well, that's the filling cup thing. Because if you haven't filled your own cup with all the stuff that you want to do, then you need other people's energy. And the best way to do that is to have them on, not necessarily as allies, but certainly in the same game.
Well, not even as allies, as competitors.
But
like, I'm getting that sense of where,
but even as allies, that works. You share an energy field.
Yeah, but I guess that thing of continually trying to bring people into your reality, into your viewpoint, into your side, onto your side, whether it's, vegetarian, meat eater, this movie, that movie, fracking, mining, or environmentalist mining, people are, it always feels like they're trying to get people into their game so that then they've got those, not only allies, but people to be better than or to be up against. Like, if there's no competition in there, what have you got to amp off? So I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that seems to be the, like, where we're always trying to bring people into our viewpoint of the world or into our understanding.
So is that about purpose? I mean, with competition, as far as getting people into the same competition, into the same game, is that about purpose?
Yeah,
what is your
guess
purpose?
All I'm just dabbling around in for myself is going, part of that desperation to have everyone belonging to the same group or everyone getting the same viewpoint or everyone being on the same side.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just the warped motivation in there to do that. Like, it's not for the purpose that we think.
Mm.
It's got mixed agendas going on as well.
Mm.
Like, just because you put them on your side doesn't mean you're not still in competition with them.
Yeah.
You know, even if you get them to come over to the vegetarian side, it's just so you can have more vegetarians to be a better vegetarian then.
Yeah.
Or to show them how well how well you do at being a vegetarian or whatever it is.
Mm.
But it just feels like that competition thing, like, no, I just find it fascinating how one little sentence that, and I'm still not sure where that sentence got embedded in my psyche, but how I built this whole world around it, and it becomes the mantra, the silent mantra, that everything else is jamming off. And it feels like jamming off too.
And what's the sentence?
Well, the sentence is the one about the test.
Well, I think they want to know what the sentence is.
Well, I don't even know what it is anymore, but it's about
everything is a test.
Everything is a test. Everything is a test. And that means everything is an indicator of whether you're winning or losing.
And winning or losing is an indicator of your worth. I think that's...
Yeah, and I think the thing that really, not shocked me, but that sense of you will never have any worth because everyone else around you feels like they're playing the same game, whether they are or not. You feel like they are. So that just means that everything that everyone else does, whether it's your mother or your child, is for them to win or lose the game, and they can't give love until they've won the game, and they're never going to win the game. I think that was the bit that was kind of shocking for me, that sense of, God, all this time, I've never felt what was there to feel from other people because I've believed that they're just playing the game. And whether they are or not, it's irrelevant. I haven't been open to receiving what's coming in because I've felt like, they're playing the same game as me. And if they're playing the same game as me, everything they're doing is about winning or losing. They won't be able to give anything till they've won or lost. And then, if they've lost, they can't give anything anyway. But if they win, it's ephemeral anyway, so they'll be back in the game quick as a flash, so they won't have energy. And that's just all from that one viewpoint operating in me that I then extrapolated out to everybody else.
And so that whole idea of being loved is really at the core of all of that. Because if love is being withheld, because it's all a test, then that's why you play the game.
Yeah, and I don't think it's to be crazy hard on yourself, because I think it is that you are wanting to play the game so you can love as well in some warped way. It's like, if only I could win the game, then I could give everyone around me the love that they deserve. Or that, I would love to shower on them. It's like, if I was... Will I am and doing all the things I'm doing, then I'd have the power and the money and the choice and the time and the boom, 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 all the things that I think I don't have now because I'm not winning. Like it all feels like it's rolled into this warped viewpoint. And it's not to say that that's the only one. I'm sure there's other layers on there.
Yeah.
Hey kids, guess what? It's time for school. Yes, in Australia it is morning. That's what it means when it says we're down under. Just means we're down under. We're not even down under. It's a pretty weird thing to say. But anyway, we are down under Australia. But I love it when you see maps of the world in different viewpoints. The Peters projection map, and, there's just other maps from early on when explorers were exploring and they started off from their place in the world and made that the centre of the map.
Yeah.
I love that. So, try and find a new centre for your map, or maybe throw out the map, as Ken Stone would say, or maybe see if you can invent a new map for you. And maybe next week Mel will talk about her quantum map.
Maybe. I just think there's the idea, like if you can anchor everything in being, can you be anchored in being loved? Then all of that other stuff somewhere will make more sense to you.
I'll write that down.
Okay.
Return.
Because it is, you think about it, when you're in a situation which is a potential conflict, when you feel loved in that situation. I mean, that's why people go to psychotherapists.
Can you anchor yourself
Yeah,
in
love.
love?
So when you can feel loved, you can go into almost any situation and you can navigate that. You feel safe. There is a sense that it's going to hold to go into any areas, to vent things, whatever. So where can you be anchored in love so that you have permission to play?
Okay, so I've just written 2 sentences. One was, where can you anchor yourself in love? And the other one was, question, give yourself in love. Go out into the world this week, give yourself permission to anchor yourself in love. Side.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. As long as you don't turn it into a test. Because if you turn it into a test, it'll just bring you more grief.
And it doesn't, I'm not talking about the, people. When I say anchor yourself in love, I mean, if that's hugging trees, then hug trees. If it's eating noodles, eat noodles.
Going out and getting the beach to give you shells.
Yeah. It can be anything. Doesn't just find where you're anchored in love and fill it up.
All right, all you cool cats, I hope we filled you up with a little bit more love to start your week. And have a fabulous week, and keep track of us on our Facebook page at Miracles and Wonder Down Under, and get in touch with us. We would love to hear where you are flying and where you are facing that trapped feeling. Yeah, we'd love to.
What's your favourite
journey
foreign
with
movie?
you? What's your favourite horror movie? Look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.
See you next
See you next Tuesday.